share precious tips and tools on how to create your beautiful, wonderful, full spectrum, rich life. Because we all deserve and wants to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. This podcast is done with the G100 Global Networking and powered by Anchor FM. Anchor FM by Spotify is this super awesome free podcast made easy platform. And for this week, we are so thrilled and so honored to have Dr. Tony Liu with us. Dr. Tony, would you care to share with us that what is it that you do?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I used to be a physician, a women's gynecologist, but now I'm a cartoonist and relationship and self-love coach.
A cartoonist. Did you guys hear that? A cartoonist. I must admit, she is the first physician who is also a cartoonist. I think that's actually really what caught my eyes when I saw your profile. I'm like, a physician who is a cartoonist? Holy moly. I know like a lot of physicians write blogs and things like that and author and what like wow, it's kind of like seemingly such a being a doctor myself, it's like medicine is like so this, and then you're like cartoonist. Wow. And so, would you care to share with us what brings you from being a physician to be a cartoonist and a coach?
So actually, being a cartoonist or artist was my childhood dream. It's what I've always wanted to do. And it was actually my Chinese immigrant family who really pushed the science or the stable jobs that actually led me to choosing to be a doctor in the first place. However, I also developed my own passion for it, and that's why I do coaching now, because I am really passionate about healing and helping others and really elevating others to living their best life possible.
Wow, that is so awesome. So you grew up like like many of us, and particularly if you grew up in wonderful traditional Chinese family. Right, yeah. And and you grew up, so you love cartoons since you were young, sounds like. And then it's like everybody said it's what is it? You either become a, at least in my family, you either become a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer.
Yes, that's it. No other career choices. Everything else is just a hobby. And they're like, you can do it in your free time.
Right. What do you mean you want to help people with psychology? You better plan to eat gravel, right?
Yes, and live in a box. And so much pressure and shaming. And that's an area I coach on too, just really undoing our conditioning and tapping into what we really want for our lives and
So
what's
so
authentic to.
kudos to you for following your heart in such a wonderful way. So you tell us more about what do you do then? What kind of cartoon do you do? Do you do like a superhero style, or what sort of cartoon do you create?
So my cartoons are very cute. They have like more Japanese anime style characters. They are usually just it's not one giant story, although I am working on a long story to publish in the future. But I just have a couple of ones that it's just sends a message either about mental health or about women's equality, social justice, just something like a satire almost, some of the comics, just to bring attention to an issue with humor. Like the attention I've brought to a lot is the Asian culture in my comic, The Five Asian Love Languages,
Oh,
where we talk about how, yeah, in Asian culture, we give you food and however, we also can be workaholic. You know, we're really focused on the achievements, and you'll have to check it out. I don't want to spoil the comics, but they're just on one page on my website.
wow, but that is so neat. That's that you are using cartoon for women empowerment as well as awareness on the culture and the Asian now. For anyone here listening, if you don't know what's the the Asian five love language, you definitely I look at your website, so I was like I just laughed the whole time because it was so flipping through. It was like, holy moly, I'm glad I'm not the only one growing up like this.
Yeah, so much criticism instead, like for example, instead of words of affirmation, and it becomes criticism or words of negative reinforcement. It's just people
Right,
saying, why
exactly.
are you
It's
not
like,
more like this person?
yeah, what do you mean you only got an A?
Yeah, where's the plus? Like, what? You not Ivy League? What? You not doctor? Like,
Oh, it's like, oh, what do you mean you only have one doctorate degree? It's like,
yes.
for real? So, but that is, yeah, so that I love that. I love how you are putting, and that is something so much needed, to be able to put things in a lighter state, because a lot of times when we talk about empowerment and particularly certain cultural thing, it's a lot of happiness in there. So that is so super awesome. So once we complete this, the link will be in the descriptions. Go check out Dr. Tuni. You call yourself Dr. Tuni, right? Cartoon now, right? From Tony.
Yes, that's my business name, Dr. Tooney, the
So
cartoonist.
go check out Dr. Tooney website for that. Now tell us about the coaching as well. So how do you integrate or did you use your knowledge as a physician to do the coaching, or it's something separate?
Absolutely. There is a lot of overlap. So, training as a physician, I actually did two fields, gynecology and then family medicine, primary care. And that one, it's a lot of focus on wellness, prevention, motivational interviewing, deeply listening to patients and clients, what they're going through, and helping them find an answer that works for them. I've always been more of the, not instead of telling patients what to do, because not every solution resonates with everyone. It's really partnering them and walking alongside them. And as a physician, I was able to do some of that, but due to the medical system where they only give you 15-minute appointments, how can you really dive deep and deeply serve the clients that way? So when I found coaching, I was like, that feels right. That feels like this is a way that we can address the root problems, because I feel like the medical system also just throws on a band-aid or prescribes medications to mask what's really going on. And so much of that, there's an emotional root and piece to that. And I love that coaching addresses that.
That is so true, that there is a lot of time the emotional root, instead of nothing's against medications, nothing's against medicine, absolutely, please don't, and anybody don't take me wrong. I strongly being a Western trained oncologist, I know the value of that, and at the same time, like you say, it's a lot of time, it's like, yes, some of us have depressions because of chemical imbalances. The majority
Mhm.
of us have depressions or panic attack or anxiety is from a multitude of emotional conditions, and tossing antidepressants or any other medication, it's kind of treating the symptoms but not so much of the root of the cause. So that's so wonderful. And so from your experience, in your how is it shared with our audience here, if you don't mind? I mean, many of our many people nowadays, particularly since the COVID-19 pandemic, many people say, it's, you know what, I mean, it just doesn't feel right anymore working 8 to 8 a lot of the time, working 8 to 8 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., particularly if you can't commute at somewhere, and all these things, and I want to shift, I want to follow my heart, but oh my God, it's so scary. And I can only imagine with you, I mean, being a physician, you have all the privilege and all, and on the benefit, and you name it. And how is it that you are able to leave those behind and be do what you do now?
That's a great question. I think so many of us get stuck in we call them the golden handcuffs of the stability, especially in the United States, the healthcare and everything. I think for me, well, I was able to leave it because I actually worked in it for a few years and I really experienced this is not like I remember hitting one point where I just felt dead inside, like I was just going through the motions, living life on autopilot, and I realized this is not joyful. This is not I felt like a walking zombie. So I think it was really the pain of that in knowing that oh, I can't see myself doing this and doing that commute for 40 more years. There has to be a better way. And it was also being inspired by everyone else who has have been able to carve their own path and do work that lights them up. And of course, it's not rainbows and butterflies 100% of the time, but there's that deep sense of yes, this is what I'm here to do, or this is my purpose, or this is, I think there's just that piece that really helps you get through all of that uncertainty of carving your own path.
Right. Oh, that is beautiful. So, and I got it. I got that you've been traveling, right? Is that one of your passions, or you're doing that for your work now?
Absolutely. It's both. I've always been drawn to learning about other cultures. I even before medical school, I wanted to live abroad and teach English and just really learn. I just have this deep curiosity about humanity. And also I've noticed it really breaks my heart that there's so much prejudice, discrimination, fear of differences, and I truly deeply feel it's one of my life's purpose to bring people together with more love and understanding. So that's why I travel very slowly. Every few months I might change a country or location, and I try to give back to the local communities whatever opportunities come up. For example, I gave a talk on women's health and hormones and periods to some Thai girls in a temple, a Buddhist temple, where I did a meditation retreat at.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. So from your experience being able to have the courage to follow your heart, as well as from all your learning and understanding and as a coach, as well as a physician before, and as a cartoonist, do you have a few tips for our audience in excuse me in creating their joyfully rich life in a full spectrum rich life?
Absolutely. It's hard to pick just a couple, but I would narrow it down to these three tips. First is I would say really pay attention to what really lights you up. What are you passionate about? And a lot of us, because we've grown up with family conditioning or society telling us this is the cookie cutter way to live your life, there's the right way to live your life. And we don't ever stop to question ourselves. I know I was just striving and achieving. It was like straight A's, top of my class, Ivy League, doctor, and I just never stopped to think about what do I really want from this life, from this short, precious time we have on earth. And I realized I was so disconnected from myself and knowing what I even wanted. I couldn't even make basic decisions like where do I want to eat today? What do I want to do today? And I'm finding that what helped me reconnect with that and be able to make decisions more easily is just paying a little more attention to my body. I mean, after years of being shut down, it is always possible to reawaken. And that would look like just if you're trying to figure out two decisions, which one feels more exciting, which one feels lighter, and which decision feels heavier. And if that still is hard for you to do, you can just think about is there anything in my life that I lose track of time doing, that I really look forward to doing? And then also between the two decisions, which one gives me energy afterwards and which one drains me of energy? I was so surprised, but it also made sense to learn that the body has deep wisdom. We actually literally have neurons and nerve endings in our gut. So when they say like our gut knows, there actually is scientific backing to that. So I would say just starting to get in touch with the wisdom of your body is a good way to start living in more alignment with your soul and living a more rich, joyful life. Number two, sorry, these are kind of long. Number two,
That's great.
um, I would say that it's always like it's really hard. It can feel so overwhelming to make a change, you're like, I don't even know where to start. So just start with the tiniest step that you can possibly think of. And if it's hard for you to think of that, talk about it with somebody, a friend, a supportive family member, a peer, or a professional. Just seek out. There are lots of people, mentors. You can just brainstorm, find that out. And if you feel like I've tried everything, nothing works, is that really true? Because I like there are infinite choices and possibilities in this life. Like we just don't have enough time to experience them all. So I'm sure there is something very, very tiny that you haven't tried yet. And that would actually encourage you, other than feeling overwhelmed by everything, just having a tiny step and you do it and you're like, oh, this is great. This is maybe it's possible. Just yeah, just you can do it tomorrow. You can do it today, and that energy actually science. I love science, so what science has found that's what really gives us um, that motivation. It keeps it going. You have to celebrate the small steps there. There generally isn't a happy ending to an unhappy journey. And then number three is if you're still like, I can't even push myself to take that tiny step and you're questioning yourself, doubting, there's a lot of us who are perfectionists or just, yeah, are so afraid of making a fool of ourselves or what other people will think. Just, I know it's hard, like, it's so hard to just do it, but a lot of that motivation and inspiration and that confidence that you can do it comes from just taking that little action first. And you can even do it anonymously. If you don't want to put yourself out there, your art out there, your writing or your music, like you can do it. And especially now on the internet, it's easier to start off with a different name. And so you don't, it's less risk, just whatever you can do to make it easier for yourself. But really it's that cycle. People think you have to wait for the motivation to do it, but actually a lot of times it's taking the action first and then you follow and your identity shifts like, oh, and now I'm this person who can take that step.
I love that. It's remind me to the saying, you can be happy and smile, or you can smile and be happy. So
Exactly. Yeah. Isn't it so fascinating? Yes. If you smile, you just force the smile, then some joyful feelings will follow. Yeah. It's the
yeah,
same.
because our body really, like you said on the first tip, our body really truly know in my book Seeking Peace, and as physician, I'm sure you're familiar about this. The body knows when you need, because a lot of time with my work as grief specialist, people say, oh, I'm sorry, and before that as an oncologist, everybody said coming in, I'm sorry, I'm crying. I'm like, you got to cry. It's normal. If you come here and say, hallelujah, I got cancer, then I'll be kind of a little concerned about you, you know.
Yes.
But it's normal, and many people don't realize this, that it's actually your body know when you need to cry. If you ever, unless you're a trained actor or actress, most of us cannot cry on command like that, right? But
Mhm.
then there are times when things happen, you try not to cry and you can't stop crying anyway. Why? Because your body knows that you need to cry. We have three different type of tears for that reason. But I love how you say that and just do that. But you know, some people do hear that, and some people feel this, oh, you know, I have this longing or that or something, or they even feel like you say they feel a little bit like a zombie or something, but then they say, but so it's just all feelings. I'm just gonna tough it up. I'm just gonna tough it up, you know, because I right now I have benefits, like you said, medical
Mhm.
benefits in particular. I have insurance, I have benefits, I have all these things, and so you know, I have status, maybe I have nice car, what have you, and I'm just gonna tough it up. Why would I listen to this woo-woo thing? What is your thought about that? Why shouldn't we just tough it up? Why shouldn't we just see if we, over time, we're going to feel better on our own?
Yeah, well, I just from my personal experience and many other people I know, just the more that you try to just tough it out, at some point you're going to burn out, you're going to break down. It's it's really, if you're fighting your body rather than working with it, then it's not going to have a happy ending. And so, but some people do that for their entire lives, and finally at retirement they're like, okay, I can maybe take a breath, and I can maybe now finally do what I actually wanted to do. But at that point, those patterns of working against and ignoring your body, that's going to be, you're up against 65 years of living life that way. It's going to be a lot harder to change tracks. It's like the analogy, you're on the same track over and over in the snow tracks. It gets deeper and deeper the longer you do it. So it's it, but to each their own. Like, I know society, it really, there are things like we have to provide for our families, or sometimes we just have to do what we have to do, and that's noble and sacrificing for that. But there is a different way. It's a lot of people don't even think it's possible to live with joy and not have to force yourself to do things.
Yeah, there might be just a different way that you could be still providing for your families and so forth. And sometimes you never know, when you follow your passions and succeed in that, it might be an even better for you and your families, rather than, I mean, if you we know that if we're not happy, of eventually illnesses will set in, right? And yes, it's
Yes.
emotional at the beginning, but when you are continuously stressed and under distress, it's trigger inflammation in the body, and then that
Mhm.
brings physical illness, and that wouldn't be helpful for your family, that's for sure. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So that is so wonderful. So how do people discover your work? How do people find your cartoon and connect with you?
Oh, thank you. So they can go to my website, drtooni.com, drtooni.com. But I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn under the same names.
That is so awesome, Dr. Tuni. Thank you. And do you have, as we complete our time together here, do you have a final message for our audience?
Hmm. Oh, yes, I do. So I think we've really live in a culture for a long time of, when you said people feel shame, like, oh, why am I crying? Why am I showing emotions? Emotions are not bad. Emotion, it's impossible, it's inhuman to cut ourselves off from that. And if you, so there's no reason to feel shame. I know that's hard to believe, but it's okay to be human and be who you are. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. I know so many people, from their life experiences, they feel like, oh, I'm not getting to my goals. What is wrong with me? Or I feel unlovable and unworthy. You are absolutely deserving of the life that you dream about. And yeah, just please reach out for support. It matters. Um, you matter. So yes, just know that you're a beautiful soul. I just wanted people to know that.
I love that. I love that this is with February being Heart Month and Love Months, and talking about so many people feel unlovable and undeserving, and that you matter, and 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 I think that's part of the reasons. But tell me what you think, that sometimes the feeling that you're not worth it, not worth your happiness, or you're not lovable, that could actually stop people from pursuing what it is that they love.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, it holds us back in so many ways, or from, yeah, taking risks, or we just, yeah, settle for things that we don't really truly want. And yeah, it's from that, and I help people just build that up again, that self-love, because when you do love yourself, you know what you want, you have the confidence to go for it, you can make those decisions, and you can honor yourself too, and stand for your values. So I think just deeply knowing yourself, that, and to accepting yourself too, because when you accept yourself unconditionally, then you're able to spread that love out and accept others. And we all are flawed. Anyone who pretends that they don't have flaws, they're lying. Absolutely. So and we're all weird in our own way too. Like I've really embraced my wacky artist side, and I would love more people to really express their wackiness too and not hide that, because that's one of the most beautiful parts of ourselves.
Your uniqueness is your strength. I mean, imagine if everybody is look the same. That will be
Yeah.
there will be long ago there was a movie, I forgot what it's called. It's called Stepford Wife. There was a movie called
Mm.
Stepford Wife a long time ago, and it's basically like all these women in this community look exactly the same. It was like that will be, and they all look picture perfect, they all look like Barbie or something like that. Whatever. It's like, that will be really scary. And how do you know who's who? So
Right. They act the same. It's like everyone's.
yeah, it's so you are lovable. As Dr. Tooney says, you are worthy and you're lovable, and when you accept that and accept yourself and allow you to be you and follow your heart, this is the key of creating a joyfully rich, joyful, full spectrum, rich life. So thank you so much. Any other last word that you want to share to our audience? Love your messages.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just adding on to what you said, like truly there is a place for you. It's, don't try to hide the bad parts. We need you. You're actually needed. Your fullest expression is very much needed in this world. So,
Super, super. We need you. We need your uniqueness because that's add to the richness. So,
yes.
so thank you so much, Dr. Tuni. Thank you for sharing with us your wisdom, your adventure, sounds like, and your creativity. And so, thank you so much for sharing your tips today. And for you, my friends who are listening to this, please share one or two gold nuggets in the comments so we can continue learning from each other. And thank you for joining. Please share this podcast, this conversation with your friends and families so they too can triumph and live a thriving life. And this is Dr. Burjit Tan, your grief transformation specialist for individual and businesses, founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity, and United States country chair for G100 Global Networking's All Ladies Leagues. And you, my friend, make it a thriving life, and we look forward to see you again very, very soon. Welcome to your Joyful Riches